What I wonder is when you motherfuckers are gonna realize that, the wrath that I've displayed on here was not born overnight, and that I used to be a much more kind and gentle soul than that I've turned into, and that what you're witnessing is the mere winter of my soul, where my heart has transformed from what it was into a blackened shard of pure crystallized sadistic rage and hatred for, the other side of the political divide, and I don't know, like, why, it's because it seems to me that most people have this perception of, like, that it comes from this vantage point of, like, why is he so angry? He just seems to be spouting off and screaming at people all the time. Why is he pissed off? And it's like, you could have asked me that, at any point if you had wanted to. If you'd wanted to understand that, the deep justifications for my own feelings and wrath personally, I mean, I would have been more than happy to calmly explain it to you. I mean, do I look pissed off right now? Do I? Do I seem angry? Does this look like an angry look to you? So, the thing about what motivates a lot of that screaming and everything is just, look, it's been a couple of years of the Biden administration at this point. I'm not necessarily the biggest fucking fanboy of the Biden administration, although they that's what they'll say about me. They'll say you voted for Biden, hurt her, as if that's some kind of personal insult against me. You know what you should be ashamed of is having voted for any Republican ever. That's disgusting, and it makes you less than human. The only good Republican is a fucking dead one. And may the bridges and social consequences I pay for having said that light my way forward. I don't want these people in my life at all. So if I suffer the loss of followers or people for it, fine. Fuck them all. I don't want Republicans in my life in any context to ever converse with one in any way, period. End of story. They are disgusting, subhuman pig fuckers who the world is a better place in every way when they die. They make the world an miserable hellhole. Their mere existence is a corrosive on this country. And the reason I feel that way, very straight to the point, they legitimately lost in 2020. Anybody who thinks otherwise is psychotic. Period. End of story. That is the that is a fact, and it is the absolute truth. Those who disagree are fucking insane. The shit they believe makes them fucking crazy. The QAnon nutters are absurd on their fucking face. It's a fact that QAnon lied, and anybody who thinks otherwise is a fucking moron because they think otherwise. These conspiratards who think they're so much smarter than the rest of us are fucking incompetent buffoons who believe things that there is not even a snowball's chance in hell are true. The shit they believe is utterly deranged and insane, and there's no potential whatsoever the conspiracy theories are true. We know this, and we have absolute certainty about it, that we could not possibly be the ones that are wrong. Biden won legitimately, and frankly, plenty of people, decent, upstanding people, in fact, the better half of this country voted for him. And just because you personally don't know anybody that did doesn't mean that there aren't fucking as many millions of them as votes that he got. He got exactly those votes legitimately, and not a single one of them was fraudulent. Every single one was perfectly legitimate. And anybody who thinks otherwise is fucking nuts. There's no truth in them, and there's no potential whatsoever that they're right. I am absolutely certain that categorically it's impossible for their opinion to be valid, or the ways that they actually came to their conclusion to be the ways that a valid conclusion could be reached. They can't think critically enough to realize what the stupid bullshit things that they and evidence that they think they have is in fact not a valid conclusion. They think they know things that they could not possibly know. And I guarantee you that whatever you throw at me, evidence wise, there are methodological flaws inside that make the conclusion completely unsupportable on the merits. It's just bullshit, and it always has been. I guarantee you, Biden won this election legitimately. It's a conspiracy theory that it was stolen, and it's conspiracy. It's one of those alternative truths that is also meant to lie, and Trump is still parroting it ad nauseum. The fact of the matter is that people in this country, they say stupid shit too when you argue with them. I'm like, if voting didn't work, why would if voting worked, why would they let us do it? But if voting didn't work, why are they working so hard to prevent you from voting? Why are they working so hard to enact all of these barriers and requirements in the form of, you need state ID, which by the way, I have mine. Why are they raising bar? Why are they making it so like why are they requiring all these documentation to vote? It's a canard that it's about safety and voter fraud, because we know that voting fraud is exceedingly rare. We know this. We've got no credible source of news will tell you ultimately that voting fraud is extremely common. The people who believe otherwise are the people that go to outlets like shit news outlets that are slanted already to the right and are completely deranged and so far biased to the right that they've given up any semblance of accuracy and are just they have no credibility as a result. Any credible publication will tell you that there's no any publication that has a high score of accuracy is mostly accurate, or is almost always accurate, because it will actually report, or is always accurate because even if it fucks up, it will own that it fucked up and issue a correction. None of those publications will actually tell you that voter fraud was common. They'll all tell you that there's only been a handful of cases, and usually it's been cases of Republicans trying to steal elections and manipulate the elections. So it's a canard that they needed to, voter ID laws were a solution in search of a problem that never existed in the first place. And anybody who knows fuck all knows this. But there are some know nothing halfwits that are proud of their ignorance, that don't bother to look shit up and just believe things, or believe it because they think that it's moral, because of the fact that you need ID to get alcohol. So what? You got to be 21 and show ID to get alcohol. So why shouldn't you have to show the ID to vote? But the answer is easy. It's because of the fact that there isn't a major problem with voter ID, with voter fraud in the first place. So there doesn't need to be these barriers to entry, and there are plenty of people who don't have them and would need trips to the DMV. Would have to get organize a whole effort to get volunteers to get them to the DMV and do that personal transportation for them and the driving for them. Which, by the way, me wanting to learn how to drive was part of one of the things that I wanted to do in some of those places, to get people that were likely Democratic voters registered to vote, you know, but plenty and their IDs and everything, so that they could overcome those barriers, because that's bullshit, and it always has been. And the Supreme Court, by the way, used their illegitimate authority to tell us that it wasn't racially motivated, but the court was psychotic. It was psychotic and delusional. Their conclusion was incorrect, and it was racially motivated. That's a fact. And the court doesn't have the authority to basically tell me otherwise, as far as I'm concerned. My conclusion overrules theirs. There's no truth in theirs. So don't come at me with the Supreme Court disagrees with you. I don't give a shit. The Supreme Court's wrong. Voter ID laws, no matter where they're enacted, are inherently racist laws. And anybody who tells me otherwise is trying to peddle snake oil. And it doesn't matter how high up in the system they are. Why would I listen to a non-elected public official anyways in the courts? You know, I have no respect for the justices anyways. Over there at the Supreme Court, I think they're demonic filth. I think that they are demons in human flesh. So as far as the high justice on the court, if I were in his courtroom, I'd like him, but even though I'm not in his courtroom, I would like him to know from me personally that I don't consider him more honorable, and I don't consider what his actions honorable. I consider him a disgrace. So to the Chief Justice Roberts, your disgracefulness, please commit suicide because the world's a better place without you in it. And that's the truth. He's a disgrace to humanity, and the world is a better place without him and the people who share his originalist perspective in it. He makes the world a worse place every day that he goes to work. He wakes up, and his job is now to ruin America, basically. Because of the so now every day that he wakes up, he basically wakes up thinking, how do I fuck this country up and make it worse for all the people that are in it? He's a miserable little shit, and the world is like his whole life. When he looks back on it, the only way to save his soul would be to fucking eat a bullet because he's really, I mean, the lives that he's destroyed, the people's whose livelihoods that he has fucked up are countless. He has made the world a worse place in every fucking way. There's nothing honorable or respect worthy about the man. In fact, all of his actions and life deeds merit scorn, contempt, hatred, and a wish for this man to be dead and gone. I mean, that's the truth. He has done nothing that merits respect and only disrespect, in his whole actions. I mean, and we have a court now that, its majority basically wakes up, imagining how they're going to fucking break America and make it a miserable place for all of us to live in. I mean, that's why they get up in the morning. It's why they rise at all. So, fuck you to the Supreme Court. You're not honorable. You're a disgrace. Only the minority of that court is at all honorable. So I'm done. As far as all that stuff's concerned. I mean, but if you want the justification at the ultimate level for why I fucking hate the Republicans, it's simple. They lost an election, and because they lost an election, they're pissed off at America. They want to stick it to us, and they want to basically take away our rights to vote or make it very hard for us to vote. I feel that although the courts didn't side with us, that the courts were wrong, and that voter ID laws are an effort at voter suppression, and that the people who disagree are psychotic. Sorry, I mean it is voter suppression. That's a fact, and you're not entitled to your own opinion about it because it's fact. You know, you can have your own opinions about things, but you can't have your own facts, and that one's fact, as far as I'm concerned. We don't. But you know what the problem in this country is that people think that they do have a right to disagree about established truth and fact. So to me, it's obvious and incontrovertible that voter ID laws are voter suppression. I don't want to. I'm not willing to have a fucking discussion with you about it because that's my judgment. It's final, and there's nothing that you can fucking say to me that will ever fucking change my mind or even introduce a kernel of doubt within me that they are voter suppression. I'm resolute about that, and I always will be, and that there's nothing that will ever convince me otherwise. So we have a party in this country, one side of the aisle. It's not both sides are bad. It's the Republicans are the only ones who are bad because the Democrats didn't lose an election and then try to cancel that election that they lost with January 6th. They didn't lose an election and then try to enact huge barriers against entry to prevent people from actually casting their ballot because Republicans in all these red states that are enacting all these new voter restrictions against voting and making it harder to vote and making it more difficult to vote in all these places. You know what they're doing? They're not doing it for security. They're doing it to rig the election in their favor, and they're trying to rig the election because they know that they are unpopular and that America hates them and their agenda. and that the majority of America actually literally hates the Republicans to such an extent that it would celebrate their deaths and wants them gone. You know, it fucking literally hates them in a completely sadistic fashion where it wants to fucking watch, you know, every them lose everything that they've ever loved and then laugh in their faces. I mean, it wants to engage in complete schadenfreude and revel in their misery and woe and discontent, you know? Like, we're at that point now with the Republicans, and they know this, and so they're trying to change the rules to make it harder for people to actually express that sentiment on a ballot. America hates them, and they hate America, and so they're trying to make it harder for us to vote. So, to all these people that are like, "You're such an angry guy." No, I'm not. Not really. That's not who I am. The truth of the matter is that I've been given a laundry list of reasons to be completely pissed off. I don't want to fucking be here. I don't want to have to say these things in the first place. I don't want to be the guy that has to come out here and scream at you all about it. I have better shit to do with my time. I've got shit that needs to get doing in my life. I've got an incredible woman that I managed to actually get to fall in love with me. I mean, I've got other things that I should be able to do. But no, I mean, I have to take moments out of my day to remind you all that, basically the reason why I'm so pissed off and angry has been more than earned. I mean, we've lived through a reality where the Republicans basically have been such miserable shits that they literally were pitting people on Meals on Wheels against furloughed workers a number of years ago during the shutdown because theirs is the political beliefs of lack and deprivation. They think that people should have to earn the right to live, and that those who don't should just be left to starve to death. They're the lazy, undeserving poor, and they know that this idea is not popular in this country, and so they're trying to make it harder to vote and shaming like fucking anybody because they might vote for handouts. Like that's something to be embarrassed about. Like, I feel so guilty and embarrassed about it. Except, no, I don't. I mean, some dumbasses will hate me for it, but as far as their feelings are concerned, they can suck my cock, fuck them, and their emotions about it.